In this first episode of this series, I'm going to be discussing what is the best roller coaster in each state of the United States. Hello coaster lovers, so I decided to do something big for the next 5 weeks. This video idea has been done before, but I want to take a different approach. It'll be a series of what is the best coaster in each state, and it'll be broken down into 5 different episodes, and each episode will be defined by regions. But for this video, I'm going to be doing the West, so before we hop in, these are the states that I classify the West. It's the region that is colored in blue. But I say let's hop in. We're going to start off with the lovely state of Washington. This is the state to visit when you're in the Pacific Northwest, but Washington deserves a better theme park, because there are 2 parks in the state of Washington, with Waddle Waves and the State Fair, but the best coaster in the state is the coaster that only runs twice a year, and that is with Classic Coaster at the Washington State Fair. This coaster looks borderline sketchy, and it is known for one devilish ejector pop coming off of the turnaround, and make sure to ride this coaster in the back if you ever have the chance to ride it. The state next door to Washington is Idaho. Known for its potatoes and RMC, it's also home to Silverwood in the town of but the slam dunk here is Stunt Pilot. This is the new gen RMC Raptor, because it has different profiling, longer trains, and a turnaround before the drop, instead of the other 2 Raptors where it has an 8-car train and has snappier maneuvers. But Stunt Pilot looks like a great RMC, but it's definitely in the lower tier in the RMC's ranked list. The state that had nothing prior to 2023 is Montana. This state looks pretty good, and yeah, Montana opened a coaster last year, but it's not really major, but it is for the state. It's in West Montana, and the coaster is called Flathead Lake Alpine Coaster. What a long name. But this looks like one of the weaker alpine coasters, but it does have a cool setting, along with all the world's alpine coasters. But it's cool because it's in Montana, but a coaster that also has one coaster is Wyoming. The first state that I've been to that has made the list is Wyoming, home to Yellowstone National Park and Old Faithful, which I saw when I was little. It has a coaster 2.5 hours away with Cowboy Coaster. This is at a town that is considered the Pigeon Forge of Wyoming, which is Jackson Hole, and this looks like a fun alpine coaster. And it is a little better than Flathead, but there is not a lot of trees though. I like alpine coasters where it's heavily wooded. A state that has more to offer than Wyoming is my birth state and where I'm from, Colorado. This is a state I have to get back to at some point. I lived there for the first 7 years of my life, and I've not been to Colorado since July of 2016. And just like Washington, there is also 2 main parks in Colorado. One is located in the heart of Denver, known as Elitch Gardens, which is super nostalgic for me, even looking at the skyline. But the other park is Glenwood Caverns, and there is no competition on what the best coaster is. Elitch has an SLC, a boomerang, and an OK wind coaster, but it's a toughie. It's a tie between Sidewinder and Defiance, but I chose Defiance a little later. This is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter on top of a mountain, and it looks stunning. The layout is short but sweet. It is a little janky on the banana roll, but it looks incredible, and I hope it rides well. The state based off of Breaking Bad is New Mexico, which is the next state. This is a state where it's not home to much, but just like the previous state, there is also 2 main parks in the state. One is Cliffs in Albuquerque, and the other is Western Playland outside of El Paso and the US and Mexico border. But there is one standout coaster in the state, and that is with the New Mexico Rattler. Even though Hurricane has that devilish 4th drop, and all of its clones at Six Flags Over Texas, Adventure Park USA, Glenwood Caverns, etc. But I feel like New Mexico Rattler is more unique instead of a cloned model, and the coaster splits the park in 2 halves, and I find it cool on how it wraps around the Starflyer. I haven't seen a lot of parks where they have a coaster interact with the Starflyer, and fun fact, this was the last CCI built. Even though they went defunct halfway, I still think it's the last CCI. New Mexico's twin is Arizona, which is the next state. This has been getting more attention, because the best coaster in the state for right now is Desert Storm, which is a coaster built by Hopkins, which is known for some weird loops. But next year, Twin Mill Racer is opening next year at Mattel Adventure Park in Glendale, which is right outside of Phoenix. After a decade, Chance is finally building another Hyper GTX, but this is a very different approach from Lightning Run. Lightning Run is more airtime focused, and it's like a mini Raging Bull, but this new one will be completely different. This will be focusing on inversions and quick transitions, and it's themed to Hot Wheels. And actually, I used to like Hot Wheels when I was young, so seeing it on a coaster will be surreal. A state above Arizona is Utah. This state only has 1 park, which is Lagoon, and just like the 2 previous states, its headliner attraction stands out from the rest, and with Utah, it's of course Bumbora. Okay, just kidding, it's Cannibal. This coaster has an insane first drop, and a couple different inversions. The most notable is the Lagoon Roll, which is a hardline roll going one way and another one going the other way. I see why it's near the top of so many enthusiast top coasters. You also have some supporting coasters like Wicked, Colossus, and Primordial. A state that has one big city and nothing else is Nevada. The only coasters you got in the state are in Vegas, and this one was tricky, but for me, I'm picking Canyon Blaster at the Adventure Dome. This is not only an air looper and a near clone, but I've heard it's one of the best arrows out there. I've also heard it runs like a hot knife through butter, which just blows my mind. I've ridden plenty of arrows, and all except one of them were not that smooth, so I hope I get to Vegas to try this out. Alright, time for the big dog, which is California. This is the largest state for coasters. For right now, California offers 97 different coasters, which is bizarre. And for me, it's Twisted Colossus. It was hard to choose the best. You got X2, Ghost Rider, Railblazer, Gold Striker, Accelerator. I can go on. And that's how stacked Cali is. But my biggest problem with the state is that they don't have that major A+ ride. Everything else is in the A classification for Cali coasters. But they're not world class, like A+ rides are Iron Gwazi, Tutatis, Gotham City Escape, Steel Vengeance, Hyperia, etc. But this coaster looks pretty fun. The dueling aspect is pretty much extinct, which is a huge shame, and is definitely on the lower tier of RMCs because of the dueling aspect, but an RMC is still an incredible ride. Now it's almost time to end the video, but we got one more state to cover, which is Oregon. And this is a state like Washington where they don't have a lot in terms of coasters. They have a total of 6, wait actually 5, but that's biased. And the slam dunk here is Adrenaline Peak. This state is like Colorado. Its best coaster is a Eurofighter, but this is a clone layout instead of an original layout. We have seen this at Casino Pier. It's short, but it packs a punch. So I want to hear from you guys. How would you rank the best coaster in each state in the West? If you enjoyed this first episode of this little series, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like to show your support. It makes me get in the mood to make more videos just like this, and I'll see you in 5 days. So make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and I hope you had a great Labor Day.